Hi, my name is Emily, and I'll be introducing our overall topic of whether healthcare should be mandated by the Constitution as a civil right. The members that contributed to this presentation and research include me, Bryce, Roki, Manishabal, and Ainsley. So healthcare in the United States continues to be one of the most controversial and prevalent issues, especially since the COVID pandemic really exposed several weaknesses and social inequalities within the current system. What makes healthcare as a right so controversial is that there are many factors to be accounted for, and there are just vastly dividing opinions, which makes this a very challenging topic. But some arguments for healthcare as a right will be that the current system is really a luxury or a commodity available to those who are capable, rather than it being those services to individuals who desperately need it. So services are biased based on one's economic status and background, and the cost of service continues to rise, further limiting access. Based on the quoted data, Hispanic people are most likely to be uninsured, which really shows how individuals are not given equal opportunities to carry on a healthy life. Also, healthcare costs and health insurance are growing increasingly more expensive to the point that people just cannot afford to respond to their medical needs. So, a universal healthcare system will help alleviate the financial burden and concerns associated with medical expenses, also allow for timely treatment, early intervention, preventive care, which can further increase the quality of life and reduce the burden of disease. Another argument is that individuals have a positive right to healthcare and to carry on these basic human capabilities. So, a person's health is a vital factor that influences how he or she can perform basic human functions and further contribute to societal advances. So, the government has this moral obligation to provide for the well being of its people, since they are really the true building blocks of society. A well-regulated universal healthcare system will encourage a sustainable path toward public health, and healthier individuals will be able to better commit to societal advances, be more productive, which eventually brings about social cohesion and solidarity as society is really strengthened in a thriving manner. Additionally, there are plenty of developed countries that successfully implemented a universal healthcare system, which really shows their commitment to the well-being of their people, uh, while also demonstrating that it is an attainable and effective approach. But as said before, this is a very complex and challenging issue.
When it comes to financial spending for healthcare, the United States tends to spend as much as double the amount other first world countries spend. The first world countries that are being used as comparison are the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, and Taiwan. Using the data provided from the article American Healthcare Disaster by Benny Linwick, the figures shown were created to explain the differences in financial spending on administrative cost and gross domestic product in the healthcare department between the United States and other first world countries. Figure 1 states that the United States administrative cost on healthcare is about 22%, while the first world countries use about 5 to 7%. Figure 2 explains the gross domestic product on healthcare for the United States is around 16%, and the other first world countries spend about 5 to 8%. Not only does this seem like an issue from first glance, but the United States also ranks fairly low when it comes to having the best healthcare. The other first world countries can typically ensure coverage for all their people, while as for the United States healthcare system, it seems to be more of a privilege or luxury rather than a right. The difference between the United States and other first world countries is how both provide healthcare. The United States is based off a market system where you must pay in order to receive, while other first world countries typically have universal healthcare where everyone has a form of coverage. For example, the United Kingdom uses a universal healthcare system. This system covers most people of country. The only exception is those without citizenship. In order for the United Kingdom to cover the cost, the government uses taxpayers' money, allows the coverage for all, which allows coverage for all and removes the worry of medical bills that the people of the United States worry about. The main issue with the United States is that many people cannot receive proper care with this system. And while universal healthcare doesn't seem perfect, but it still fixes the flaws the United States healthcare system has. What appears to be the best option for the United States is to switch to a universal healthcare system in order to provide care for everyone and to also improve in the ranks towards healthcare. The United States can do this by seeking advice or from learning from other first world countries in order to give people proper care and lower spending cost.
So, as the skeptic, I'm going to pose as the devil's advocate. So, firstly, given the opportunity to have universal healthcare, would Americans be willing to accept higher taxes? Considering the already high cost of living today, would most Americans perceive universal healthcare as a beneficial investment for their financial and physical well-being in the long term? Or are there any persuasive efforts required to achieve that goal? Secondly, can universal healthcare genuinely mitigate the significant racial disparities in health outcomes? As we consider the implementation of universal healthcare, we must grapple with whether it can effectively address the deeply entrenched racial disparities. Additionally, we should also recognize that other systemic factors, such as socioeconomic status, education, and implicit bias or discrimination, may also play a substantial role in shaping these health outcomes. Lastly, would a universal healthcare system even operate smoothly in the US? While the concept of healthcare as a civil right aims to provide equitable treatment and accessibility to all Americans, the diverse landscapes, demographics, and population sizes across the different states pose challenges. Some states may adapt well to such a system, while others may face difficulties due to factors like rural areas, healthcare workforce shortages, or an overburdened system. Let's take a look at our neighbor Canada. The variation in wait times and wait lists amongst the different provinces highlight how healthcare operates differently depending on location. Translating this to the US raises important questions about feasibility and adaptation.
Thanks for listening to my peers' points as they unpacked the complex world of US healthcare today. It's been quite a journey looking at all the angles from who's covered and who's not to how much we are all paying for it. Let's break it down simply. Remember those stats we talked about? In 2020, nearly 17% of Hispanic people and about 10% of Black people didn't have health insurance. That's a lot higher than the 5% for white individuals. This isn't just a minor gap, it's a glaring sign that our system isn't fair to everyone. And when we talk money, it is clear health insurance covers too little and excludes way too much. Despite all the cash we're pouring into healthcare, a lot of us still struggle to pay medical bills. Other countries spend less, but their people get more out of it. That does not add up. We heard some strong points from switching to universal healthcare, right? It could really level the playing field, giving everyone a fair shot at staying healthy without breaking the bank. It's about making sure that taking care of our health doesn't come down to how thick your wallet is. But hey, it's not a simple fix. There are real challenges such as whether we can afford it and not affect our taxes. These are tough examples that need serious thought. So, what do we want our society to look like? Do we want a healthcare system that's a luxury only some can afford? Or one that backs up every single person no matter their paycheck? Here's a final question to ponder. Can we push for a system that's fairer, that really looks out for everyone? Thanks again for being such a great audience. Let's keep this conversation going with our elected officials to bring about a better system for all.